Texas soccer stays undefeated in Big 12 play. The NFL MVP race is already underway, and FC Sheriff had themselves a day. All this and more coming up on College Press Box. Welcome into this week's episode of College Press Box. I'm your host, Zach Gueck, and we have a great episode for you tonight. Texas soccer defeated Oklahoma State on Sunday by a score of 2-1. Let's head to the highlights to see how that went. Starting off early, a pass from Trinity Byers in the first goal of the game to Mackenzie McFarland to make the Horns up 1-0. A good shot here by Texas, but better defense by Oklahoma State. The second half, going all the way down the field, a missed shot by Texas, but Mackenzie Farland is there to put it back in to make the Horns go up 2-0. However, Oklahoma State would inch closer here with an assist, and the goal goes in for Kim Rodriguez, and it is a one-goal game. They're going to try to come back here with the shot, but it misses, and Texas is going to hold on to win 2-1 and complete their Big 12 dominance. Texas women's soccer remains unbeaten in Big 12 play through 8 games for just the third time in school history, sitting at 5-0-3. They sit second place just behind TCU in the Big 12 rankings. What did Texas do well against Oklahoma State?
The thing that Texas did really well against Oklahoma State, Zach, is they converted on their corner kick. Specifically, they had a 5-1 advantage in that regard, because even though Texas did win the game, they actually got outshot by Oklahoma State in this game 11-10. So that was something they did a really nice job of, is converting on those opportunities. And also what they did is get everybody involved, because we know the stars on this team are Lexi Misimo, Julia Grosso, but Mackenzie McFarland, that was actually her first goal ever in college soccer, which is great for her. That's on senior day too, so you go. But I think it's important to understand that it's a whole team effort, and you just can't have Grosso, Misimo carry the whole team, because eventually once you get in the NCAA tournament, you're going to face teams like TCU and Florida State who have much more depth, and you need to make sure you have enough to compete with them.
Yeah, Mackenzie McFarland not only getting her first goal, but getting 2 goals in one game. Now, can Texas win the Big 12 conference?
Right now, it is neck and neck between them and TCU, because TCU is number 11 in the country, Texas is number 21. I don't think they can, just because I think TCU is a slightly better team. The problem with Texas is they have a lot of draws this season, and defensively TCU is ahead of them, but I think they have a blueprint they can follow. One thing that TCU has done really well is that they've outshot their opponents by 120 shots this season, which is absolutely crazy. But Texas can get a high volume of shots as well. They have 318 on the season, so that's only 2 less than TCU. So they can definitely play a fast offensive game for sure. But one thing where TCU kind of has a disadvantage is they're a little bit overly aggressive. They have more penalties this season, specifically yellow cards, than Texas does. So if Texas, I'm not saying you want to stoke a fire or anything like that, but you want to take advantage of those penalty opportunities when they come along. If Texas does that, I think they can hop over TCU.
Absolutely. Now, how far do you see Texas going in the NCAA tournament?
Zach, I think this is a year where it's going to be a step forward for the program, because last year this team was not even 500 in Big 12 play. They weren't even 500 on the season, and now we're talking about them being the 21st team in the country, possibly having a shot at their conference championship and having some really good players. Julia Grosso, she is an Olympic gold medalist. That is huge for a program to have a player like that. So I think Texas is probably going to win one game, but to make a run to the Sweet 16 or Final Four, that's just not realistic, just because they're not as talented yet. They have a lot of draws, which is a problem. They have 3 total draws in Big 12 play. They just haven't won a lot of close games yet, so I think that's where they're at a disadvantage. But the improvement this team has shown from last year to this year is night and day, and I think this is the year where they finally get on an upward trajectory for the program.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Clark. Now, when we come back, we take a look at the NFL MVP race. You won't want to miss it. Welcome back to College Press Box. Joining us now is Jordan Geelhoed to talk about the NFL MVP hopefuls.
All right, thank you, Zach. Well, we've been through 7 weeks of incredible NFL action, with each Sunday delivering us great games with spectacular performances. Now, there have been some amazing players who put up some amazing numbers, but there are always a select few that rise to the top that place their names among the best of the best with quality games week in and week out. Those are the frontrunners for NFL MVP. I have a list for you here of the 5 players that I believe are on the short list to win the trophy in January based on how they've played in the first half of this 2021 season. Let's get into it. All right, starting off our list, we have Kyler Murray, quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. Oof, look how he drops it in Christian Kirk's breadbasket there. 2,002 passing yards is good for 5th in the NFL, and he's got 17 passing touchdowns, good for 4th. And you can never underestimate his rushing ability either. He's got the highest completion percentage in the NFL among quarterbacks who have started a game, and he's leading a red-hot Arizona Cardinals team to a 7-0 record, best record in the league and the only undefeated team in the NFL. And they've beaten quality opponents too, from the Rams to the Titans to the Vikings. They aren't just beating up on bad teams. He's got a great set of pass catchers with DeAndre Hopkins, A.J. Green, Rondale Moore, new addition Zach Ertz here catching a touchdown against the Texans. He is the architect behind what I consider to be the best team in the NFL so far this season. And the next guy on my list, I know you're probably sick of seeing this guy. I know I might be, as he's won the MVP 5 times before, but it's Tom Brady, man. He's got 2,275 passing yards and 21 passing touchdowns. Both of those categories, he's leading in the NFL. And his Bucs offense is 3rd in the league in points scored. He threw his 600th touchdown pass this past Sunday, which is the most ever by a quarterback. No other quarterback has even come close. And did I mention that he's 44? It is insane that he is doing this at the age that he is at. It's insane that he would be doing this in like his 20s or his 30s. It just proves to show that, or it goes to show that good things happen when you got 12 under center for your team. And my next player on this list is Matthew Stafford, quarterback for the Rams. He desperately needed a change of scenery, and he got to move from the dumpster fire that is the Detroit Lions to sunny, beautiful Los Angeles, and it is already paying off both for Stafford and for the Rams. He's got 2,172 passing yards, which is good for 3rd in the league, and 19 passing touchdowns, which is good for 2nd. Look at his deep ball. Man, there's a lot of good deep ball specialists on this list. He's led his team to a 6-1 record, beat Tom Brady's Bucs. The Rams are among the best team in the league, too. And he's a big reason behind wide receiver Cooper Kupp's absolutely monster breakout season. If you've seen the Rams play, you know Cooper Kupp's doing well. He got a good comeback victory this past Sunday in a revenge game against his old Detroit Lions. Man, that must have felt good, releasing some pent-up aggression there. Good on Stafford this season. My next guy on the list is going to be Josh Allen for the Buffalo Bills. Man, I know I said I got a lot of deep ball guys, but look, Allen's deep ball is one of the best in the league, and don't underestimate his rushing ability either. He can take off and run when he needs to. Going into the bye, he was one of the league leaders in passing yards and in touchdowns, and the Bills' offense was 2nd in the NFL in points. This is an absolutely potent unit that can score practically at will. Look at them do it against the Chiefs. He had a rough loss versus the Titans this past week, but you can't really blame that on him. He did everything he could. And coming out of the bye, they have a very favorable upcoming schedule. The Dolphins, the Jaguars, the Jets, the Colts, the Saints, the Patriots, not very good teams. He could go on a big run there, put up some monster numbers, and prove that he is among the best of the best. He is a 4th-year player, really coming on in these past 2 years. He is a special talent to watch every single Sunday. The Bills are one of the best in the AFC. Speaking of a 4th-year player, it's my guy. Look at this throw right here. Ooh, 60 yards, not bad for a running back. It is Lamar Jackson. Totaling up his pass and rushing yards, he has 2,423 total yards. That leads the NFL. He's got more yards individually than a lot of NFL teams do, which is insane. The thing is, we already know what Lamar is capable of with his legs. He leads the league in yards per carry, but he's carving up defenses with his arm too. He's really established a rapport with his receivers, especially his guy Marquise Brown. He is shattering false narratives from the ones that he can't throw to the ones that he can't have a comeback victory, seeing as he's had 2 this season against the Colts and the Chiefs. The Colts won right here in overtime, which he won. The MVP stands for Most Valuable Player, and I would argue that Lamar Jackson is the individual most responsible for any team's success in the NFL. When 8 does well, the Ravens do well, and they are doing pretty well this season. And my last guy, I know I said 5 names, but I couldn't resist putting this guy in here. You hear that rumble in the distance? Yeah, that's Derrick Henry plowing his way through the MVP race. He has got 869 rushing yards. Let me say that number again, 869 through 7 games. That's first in the NFL by 350 yards. 80% of his yards have come after contact, meaning that his yards after contact total is more yards than the second leading rusher. That's crazy. 10 rushing touchdowns, again first in the NFL by a wide margin. He is on pace for another 2,000-yard rushing season, which he did last year. He would be the first back to ever do it twice and to ever do it in back-to-back seasons, and only 7 other players have ever done it even once. And that list includes guys like Adrian Peterson, Eric Dickerson, right, O.J. Simpson. Derrick Henry is absolutely leading the Titans. He is a monster in the backfield. He absolutely torched the Buffalo Bills for 3 touchdowns. Some consider the Bills to be the best team in the league. Yeah, well, Derrick Henry and the Titans had something to say about that 2 weeks ago. And for those who say that the MVP is only a quarterback's award, well, if you see here, he threw for a touchdown this past Sunday for good measure. Man, what can't Derrick Henry do? If he's playing against your team, watch out. If he's not, then just kick your feet up and watch history being made, because what Derrick Henry is doing for the Tennessee Titans is definitely historic. Some other names that are some players that I really like but just didn't quite make the list. Justin Herbert, who coming into the bye was leading a Chargers offense that was simply on fire. He's doing really well in his second year. Dak Prescott as well. Coming off of a pretty serious ankle injury last season. What he's doing for the Cowboys is nothing short of impressive, as that offense is first in the NFL in points. Aaron Rodgers as well, another name that you can never count out for this award, as he always seems to have the Packers among the top teams in the league. His team is 6-1. And one other player that really made his mark this past season with this past week, with a statement win against the Ravens was Joe Burrow for the Bengals. He is a surging second-year player, also coming off a season-ending injury last season. He's top 5 in the NFL in yards and touchdowns. Keep an eye out for Burrow the rest of the way. Now, if the season were to end today, and I would have to give the MVP based on how these players have done the past 7 weeks, I would probably give it to Kyler Murray. Now, in January, if I was voting, provided that these players continue the same trajectory that they're on now, more or less, I can't see. It's going to be hard to not give it to Derrick Henry. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't give it to Derrick Henry. As I said, it's a quarterback's award. But what he is doing for the Titans, I mean, it is unreal. It is unreal. I mean, you got to see it to believe it. Just tune in every Sunday. Watch Derrick Henry tear up the league. Anyway, that is all I have for you. Thank you all for listening, and now I'll kick it back to Zach.
Thank you, Jordan. Awesome stuff as always. When we come back, we transition back to the world of soccer, coming up on College Press Box. Welcome back to College Press Box. Joining us now is our soccer analyst, John Kelley, to break down a huge upset and more in the UEFA Champions League.
Thank you, Zach. We all love a Cinderella story, and this is turning into a big one. I took a look at FC Sheriff, a soccer team from a country that doesn't exist, fighting for a UEFA Champions League title. Take a look. Transnistria, a country that isn't. Officially, the Pridnestrovyan Moldovan Republic, this breakaway state is located in southeast Moldova. It is recognized only by 3 other states, all unrecognized themselves. Although this seems like just a fad, the people of that area call themselves Transnistrian. There is a checkpoint at the border, and there are Transnistrian flags littered about the largest city, Tiraspol. In Tiraspol, there's a soccer club making international news. FC Sheriff, which participates in Moldova's Divizia Națională, after their first match against Shakhtar Donetsk, which they won 2-0. But against Real Madrid, they won 2-1, with goals from Sebastian Thill and Jaroslav Yakashibov, stunning the world. Things looked up for Sheriff as they entered their next match versus Inter Milan, but unfortunately, they lost 3-1, with a Sheriff goal by Sebastian Thill. Here's head coach Yuri Verneradub on the loss to Inter Milan.
Хорошая игра. Понятно, что я вчера говорил, что Интер это большой клуб, хороший клуб, который борется за чемпионство в Италии. Мы старались играть в футбол. Первый тайм проиграли 1-0. Во втором тайме вышли, немножко перестроились, сыграли тоже 5 защитников. Забили гол ответный, хороший гол, Севастьян Тиль. Но, к сожалению, пропустили особенно 2 мяча со стандартов. Конечно, хотелось большего. Но то, что есть, то есть. Я благодарен своим ребятам за игру, за самоотдачу. Они сражались до конца. У нас есть ответная игра в Тирасполе. Будем готовиться.
Things still look up for Sheriff, though, as they still lead the group with 6 points. To finish out the group stage, they play each team again. It'll certainly be interesting to see how the rest of the series plays out. Exciting stuff as the world has its eyes on a team from a place that claims to be the last vestige of the Soviet Union. Back to you, Zach.
Thank you, John. When we come back, we take a look at what Coach Sarkisian has to say about the football team. We'll be right back. Welcome back to College Press Box. Steve Sarkisian had some things to say about potential team adjustments in the press conference.
Working on us from a psyche standpoint. You know, we had talked about it's not about our capability to perform. You know, we've proven that. And we've shown that in the first half of games, even for 3 quarters. But that ability to finish was obviously a big point of emphasis for us last week. And so did as much psychological work on that as we did from a physical standpoint. And then I think got a chance for everybody, for the guys, to kind of take a deep breath this weekend, step back and step away from the game for a minute, and come back today re-energized, ready to go. And I love what I saw. I thought the energy was really good at practice. The intent was there. And this is going to take a really good week of preparation. This is a good football team we're playing.
Texas volleyball stays undefeated on the year, defeating Iowa State in both games, winning the first game in 4 sets and the second game in 3 sets. With these wins, Coach Jarrett Elliott becomes the winningest coach in all of program history with a total of 523 wins, passing Mick Haley, who had 522. Texas softball finishes the fall season undefeated at 7-0 with sweeps over Temple College and UTSA. Texas softball finishes the fall season outscoring opponents 100-13, hitting 28 doubles, 6 triples, and 14 home runs overall. Texas pitched 0.93 ERA with a total of 73 strikeouts. Texas baseball gets off to a strong start in fall ball, beating San Jacinto College 16-3. Texas continues fall play Halloween Day at 1 o'clock against McLennan Community College. You can watch that game for free, or you can also watch it on Longhorn Network. Now, let's take a look at this week in Longhorn sports. Starting Monday, the Women's Pro Tennis Open comes to the Texas Tennis Center in Austin, where 5 Longhorns will be competing as wild cards. This event runs through Sunday, and times are yet to be announced. On Thursday, Texas soccer travels to Kansas looking to stay undefeated in Big 12 play. That game starts at 7 and will air on Big 12 and ESPN+. On Friday, the track and field team will compete in the Big 12 championships in Stillwater, Oklahoma. And on Saturday, Texas football looks to bounce back when they head to Waco to face off with the Baylor Bears. That game starts bright and early at 11. You can catch that game on ABC. And that is going to do it for this week's episode of College Press Box. Make sure to tune in to College Crossfire Wednesdays at 9 p.m. and the 1-0 Sports Show Friday at 10. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at TSTV Sports. From everyone in Master Control and everyone in the studio, we say thank you for watching and have a great night.